Looks like I'm recording. Hi there, my name is Dr. AJ Kumar, PhD. We are talking about my Flappy Bird clone, and so let's just look at the the process tree. Talked about the supervisor, talked about the base, the bird, and the pipes, and then these are all tickers, timers. And we've talked about all of that. What we have left to talk about is the controller and the GUI, and I think today I'm going to talk about the controller. We'll see. Maybe we'll talk about the GUI too. Okay, SRC controller. Alright, so yet another gen server. Alright. Behavior and exports. So we're a gen server. It exports spacebar. That must be the GUI calls spacebar when I press this. So, you know, here's the game, just if you don't remember. Hit spacebar to play, once playing, hit spacebar to jump. So the GUI captures the keyboard, and when I hit spacebar, it lets the controller know. Collision, yeah, so there's probably a collision detector somewhere. That's not a process, which is interesting. So it has a ticker. We'll have to see who calls collision. And then key N, right, so to play again, press N, so it'll tell it, the GUI tells the controller when I pressed N. Increment the score, we saw that, and then the standard gen server calls: init, terminate, handle call, handle cast, handle info. Type and record definitions. So game tick milliseconds, so the controller's tick is 5 milliseconds, so that'll be 200, I don't know, whatever 1000 divided by 5, so 200 times per second. It adjusts. Includes the header. Alright, so our window is either none or it's the WX. WX is a graphics framework, and that'll be the GUI module. The ticks is none or a PID. Wings, right, wings are down, up, or neutral. The base coordinate, right, so took some Mucinex, it hasn't kicked in yet. Needs to know where this base coordinate is. Needs to know the bird coordinate. Needs to know the bird's angle in radians. Needs to know the coordinates of the pipes. Needs to know the status. Status equals init. Yeah, so it by default is in init state, and then it's either in, right, play, okay. Score and high score, yeah, so it has the high score there, and when I'm playing, it'll put my score up. Right. Coordinate, right, is two non-negative integers. Pipe coordinates are, yeah, that would be lower and then a chord. Right, we saw that in a couple videos ago, I guess, when we went through the pipes module. Okay, spacebar. We're now going through our API. Spacebar, it just sends the message pacebar, that's a cast. Key N, prints the key N. Collision sends the message collision. Ink score sends the message ink score. Stop sends the message stop. Start link and init, these are start link is standard init. Okay. Init starts the GUI, and Flappy Bird, I guess, is the window title. My bar doesn't, here, if I put it in, you can see my font might not be big enough, but right here it says Flappy Bird, that's the window title. If I had a normal window manager, it would say it at the top of the window. Game ticks, right, that's FP tick, that's a ticker for the game. Set the reply after, we've seen this idiom for the ticker several times. Then logs, here's the window, here's the blank state, here's the window and the ticker. Alright, gen server, handle call, we're not expecting any calls. Handle cast, so key in, we do key in, and then don't reply. Let me, I'm going to zoom in even more. So I'm going to try to get all of this. Okay, in one. There we go. So key in, new state, ink score, okay. Key in, it sends, we get a new state from do key in. Ink score, state equals pound s, score equals score, high score equals high score. Right, new score is score plus 1. New high score is the maximum between the new score and the high score. That makes sense. Right, okay, I should put new score in here, but that's fine. So score equals new score, high score equals new high score, no reply, new state. Handle cast collision. New state equals do collision, okay? Spacebar is do spacebar, talk equals do talk. Stop. Info received, okay. What does the controller need to do in response to talks? That's interesting. Handle info, not expecting any naked messages, terminate. Key in, okay. Key in, game over, new game, otherwise ignore. New game, save the window, ticks, and later high, okay, well now the high score has been saved. Everything else gets reset, okay. Okay, do key in when the state is game over, our window is W, our ticks is T, and our high score is H. Reset everyone. Ah, so it sends, so this is, it tells the base to reset, the bird, and the GUI to reset, and the pipes. Then new state, window, ticks, high score. Okay. Right, and this creates a state record with all the default entries except for the window, the ticks, and the high score. New state, okay. Otherwise ignore. Do key in state equals pound s status equals, yeah, otherwise just ignore it and return the state as before. Do collision. Collision means the game is over. Oh, right. Right, when we get a collision, we tell everybody, send everyone the game over message. State, pound s, status equals game over. Right, we just changed the status. Okay. If we're in the init phase and everyone, and the spacebar is hit, tell everyone to play. That's interesting. Also boost the bird. Okay. New state equals state, pound s, status, right, okay. If we're playing and we hit the spacebar, just tell the bird to boost, right? State. If the game is over, do nothing. Right, so let's, so if I hit spacebar now, nothing happens. Okay. Do talk. State equals pound s, ticks equals game ticks. Send back a tick. Right, okay, send back a tick. Collision checking. This is our collision checking. Okay, do collision check. Update state. Wings. Right, so this is not the right way to do it. We should be getting state updates as messages from the processes instead of calling them. Right, the analogy is you should be texting me updates instead of me having to call you and ask for updates. But this works. New state equals, right, the old state, but update the record with the new values. Update GUI state. Oh, that's interesting. New state. Update GUI state. Okay. Right, okay. So it'll update the GUI state because these are the things that are relevant for the GUI to display. It needs to know the wings, where the bird is, the bird's angle, where the base is, where the pipes are, what the score is and the high score. And then, oh my god, this is garbage. Don't do this. Don't do getters and setters. That's just gross. But I did getters and setters. So, but yeah, this works in kind of an obvious way. Oh, we're 89%. We might be able to get through the GUI code. I'll have to see. Collision check. Collision check. Okay, FB bird. So do collision check. get the bounding box for the bird, the base, and the pipe. FB pipes, okay. So get the bounding boxes. FB collision colon check, okay. Okay equals maybe send collision message, right. Okay, let's look at FB collision. How long is this? 54 lines, okay. So all it is check. So bounding box looks like that. Check arg is, okay. I might need to get out the drawing pad to explain this. So the bird bounding box, the base bounding box, and the pipe bounding boxes. Check arg. Check bird bounding box, base bounding box, pipe bounding box. Collision ceiling, okay. So it's are we a collision in the ceiling? So it returns true. If one of these is true, it returns true, otherwise returns false. Okay. So collision seal, or else collision base, or else collision pipe. So we either hit the ceiling, hit the base, or hit one of the pipes. It's one of those. Okay. Collision with the ceiling when y is less than... Right, so the collision with the bird and the... Okay. When y is less than 0. Okay. So we collide with the ceiling, yeah, we collide with the ceiling when our y-coordinate is less than 0. We collide with the base when remember the coordinates are messed up here. So base y min is the height of the base. So when the minimum height of the base is greater than the maximum height of the bird, right? Remember, height is inverted here, or the y-coordinate, whatever. Right. That makes sense. Collision, maybe this should be a less than or equal to, but that's fine. Okay. Ooh, collision pipes. Right, so it has a predicate. It checks every pipe and sees if we've collided with the pipe. And then if we have any collision with the pipes, then it returns true. Okay, collision pipe. Pipe, okay. Oh boy. Okay. This kind of, I think, makes sense. So let's read, okay. So we have a collision between a bird and a pipe if there is an overlap in the x-coordinates and also an overlap in the y-coordinates. That makes sense. How do we determine if there's an overlap? Well, we check if they are not disjoint. Right, two sets have a non-zero. Here, let me just draw. Okay, I can just draw it in ASCII art. Okay, two sets overlap if they are not disjoint. Okay, so right, and we're checking for disjointedness of intervals, which is really easy. So disjoint. And everything here is rectangular, so that's nice. Okay, and we're pretending the bird angle, we're ignoring that. We're pretending the bird is flat, which is fine. Okay, we're disjointedness. We don't care if it's x or y. Okay, so case 1 is strictly to the left of 2. So this is the case we're checking. Right. 1 is strictly to the right of 2. I'm going to delete these. 1 is strictly to the left of 2, right. 1 is strictly to the right of 2, and the result is the disjunction of both of the two cases. Okay. Disjunction. This disjunction means logical disjunction, logical OR. That's what I mean. I assume. Case 1 is strictly to the left of... Okay. Box 1 strictly left of box 2, right, if the maximum coordinate on the left is less than the minimum coordinate on the right, that makes sense. 1 is strictly to the right of 2, which is just the flip of this, so max 2 is less than min 1. The result is either one of those. If either one of those is true, right, because these are one-dimensional intervals, if either one is true, we return the result. Okay, this all makes sense. Okay, close that. Okay, so back here, we check if there's a collision. Well, if there is a collision, this is an if then, basically. Okay, collision. How does collision work? Oh, it sends a message to ourselves. That's cute. It puts it in the message queue. That's maybe not the best way to program, but that is the way it works. Okay. Okay. That makes sense for the controller. Oops. What else do we have? Are there any... Okay, pipes and sprite. Or we looked at pipes. We looked at... Have not looked at sprites, but that's used in the GUI. Do I want to go through the GUI? Let me just see how long the GUI is. 300. Okay, you know what? Let's do it. And then I'm done. Then we're done. Behavior module FB GUI. Behavior and exports. Okay, it has a Wix object behavior. And Wix does not fit into Erlang, and we're going to see this. Includes the Wix header file. It exports redraw, set the wings. Okay, this getters and setters shit is bad. Okay. Play, game over. Am I recording with the right microphone? I am. Okay. It exports play, game over, set, score, reset. Exports. Okay, these are standard. We've seen how... I don't think we've seen redraw get called. It exports start link and init. It exports terminate. Okay, yeah. Handle call. These are the standard gen server. I think Wix object is a sub-behavior of gen server. So, and then it also has handle event, which is for like key presses and like the mouse moving and things like that. Okay. Define background size, the GUI tick in milliseconds, so this is the frame rate. Key space, so that's the key code for the space. This is the one time when it's good to use a macro is for things like key codes. Key space and key n, so this is the key, right, the key code is a number, so 32 is the number corresponding to the space bar, 78 is the number corresponding to n. Where the score chord, what is that? That must be where it draws the score? Who knows? Font size, okay. Define black, these are RGB colors. Okay, let's look at the state record. We have a frame, a panel, that's, I don't remember what that is. Wings, base coordinate, and by default it's at 0, 400. Okay. Bird coordinate is bird coord default. Bird angle is by default 0. Pipe coordinates is empty by default. The ticks is none by default. Status equals init. Score is 0. High score is 0 by default. And it doesn't save it to the disk. You could get it to save to the disk, but I mean, who cares? And then the sprites, let's just look at FB sprites : sprites. Okay, so the type sprites is a Wix bitmap. Okay. Okay, our sprites, it's just a map from which sprite we need to the bitmap. Okay. So base, okay. BG, bird up, bird neutral, bird down, pipe upper, pipe lower, pipe upper. And then each of these goes to PNG load of something. PNG load, image dir, file name join, zxdaemon get home, images, PNG equals type, Wix bitmap type PNG, that makes sense. Full file name is equal to file name : join, the image directory and the file name. Huh? File name : join. Yeah, okay. Alright, I mean, Wix bitmap new Yeah, so this is loading the sprites, the little images that it draws on the screen. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, coordinate and pipe coordinate, we've seen that before. Redraw sends the redraw message. Wings. Wings. Okay. Set wings, set bird angle, set the bird coordinate. We've seen these get called before. Set the pipe coordinate, set the score, set the high score, play, game over. Reset, sends reset. Startup, okay, Wix object start link, it's very similar to a gen server. Init, okay, Wix equals Wix new, frame equals Wix frame new. This is this I copied from the template GUI code from the ZX, so watch ZX's Craig's Tetris tutorial, and I'll try to remember to link the Tetris tutorial. You know what? I'm going to write this Tetris tutorial, and then try to remember to link that. Panel. Okay, a panel I think is something you can draw on. Set the client size. It only does that on initialization, so it doesn't constantly do that. Connect to close window and char hook. Right, okay. So, right, I was initially doing key up and key down, but that's not the way it works. It just uses space and N. So, right, so there's tons of events, like the mouse moving, maybe you want to know about that, and you only subscribe to which events you want. It's basically the opposite of cable. You only subscribe to the things you actually want. So tiling window. Frame size. I don't know what that means. Show the frame, center the frame, show the... Okay. GUI ticks for redrawing the screen. OK ticks equals FB tick start link. FB ticks set reply after milliseconds to tick. Okay, yeah, we've seen this. Construct the state. The only non-default entries are the frame, the panel, and the ticks. And we return the frame and the state. That's interesting. Gen server. We're not expecting any calls. Casts. Let's look at all of our casts. Can we get all of them at what we cannot? So just look at them, zoom in, and we'll look at them one at a time. Reset resets everything except the frame, the panel, and the ticks. Right, okay. Except the score, we wouldn't want to reset that. But maybe we get periodic updates from the controller, so that's fine. Game over, right, we've seen this 1,000 times, just leaves everything but changes the status. Leave everything, when we get play, leave everything but change the status. When we get talk, I don't know what talks the GUI needs. That's weird. Redraw, I would think the only talks the GUI needs are to redraw, but maybe there's something else. Set the wings. Do set wings, okay. Set bird angle. Okay. Right, these are our setters, which is a bad way to do things, but it is what it is. Terminate. Okay. Handle event. So this is to close the window, tells the controller to stop, destroy the frame, and we're done. Redraw on oh, that's right. Because if I was redrawing, if I like changed the size of the screen, it would not redraw the screen. It was something like that. Okay, and that was a tiling window manager. That was a quirk of my window manager. Handle event. Right. If we get a key and it's a space, do spacebar. If it's the lower n, we do FB con key n. That's interesting. So this sends something to the controller, not to us. That's interesting. All right. Do space. Okay, so it sends spacebar to the controller. That's all it does. Set wings, just, why does this need to be its own function? Right, so these setters just do exactly what you expect them to do. There is no mystery whatsoever. These are very basic. They literally just change the state, change the relevant entry in the state record. That's it. Talk. Okay, that's so stupid. We get a talk and then we send ourselves a message to redraw? No, that's so stupid. That is so stupid. It doesn't matter. Set pipe coordinates. Yeah, okay, that's what you would expect. Just changes the pipe coordinates. Redraw. Okay, this maybe is... Ah, redraw with no arguments. Ah, okay. Okay, redraw just returns... Okay. Redraw with one argument. Redraw with no arguments does the thing where it sends us a message. And that is stupid. This just directly tells it to redraw. Okay. We have our panel. Now we need a drawing context. Now we need a new buffered drawing context. You can tell this is some object-oriented trash. Okay. Show background on drawing context in the state. Show pipes, or maybe draw would be better than show. Show base. Show the bird. Show the text. Destroy the drawing context. Ah, so it's buffered, and the reason is otherwise you get like screen tearing, right? Because then it gets it. So what this does is it draws the screen. It draws the screen in a different memory location and then switches the pointer. So otherwise you would get this sort of weird tearing, where it would only draw like half the screen at the same time. What's it called? Look up blitting. This is called blitting, and so. It would draw. It draws in a right. Instead of handing in incomplete work, you do complete work and then substitute it. If that makes sense. Client DC destroy. Okay. Show text. Text equals the text. Font equals font. Wix DC set font. Set the font to what? Okay. Set the text color to black. Draw the text where we're supposed to at the score coordinate. What text to display? Okay, and then based on what the status is and the high score. So, right. Right, so here is in the init state, hit spacebar to play. Once playing, hit spacebar to jump. And here's our high score. Status status equals play, score equals scores, high score equals high score. Hit spacebar to jump, score, high score. Alright, so if we, oops. Oh god. Okay, go away, observer. So it'll now show us our score. Okay. And then now we're in the game over state. Game over, final score, high score to play again, press Enter. Exactly what we saw. Font. This is just some Wix nonsense. I had to look up how to do this, I bet. Font size, font family, font style, font weight. That makes sense. So it's the just standard teletype font, or the monospace font. Am I recording with the right microphone? Yes. Go away, yes. Show background. Right, and then, so from the sprites, now we just grab the background image, draw the bitmap, and we're golden. Yeah, so we draw the bitmap at 0, we draw the background starting up here at 0, 0. The pipes, right, show pipes DC. We're going to have to see how this works. Show pipes with the drawing context. I don't know why this is factored out to a new function, but it is. show bird DC. Okay, so maybe it's that I just didn't feel like maybe there's multiple clauses that need to be matched, and matching that on the state record seemed clunky. I don't know. Show the base. So base chord is stored in the state record. Sprites is, right, it just draws the bitmap at the correct coordinate. Okay. Show bird. Ooh. Okay, yeah, so it is matching a lot, so that's why. So, show the bird. Yeah, when the bird, the drawing context, radians is the angle. Coordinate, where to draw it. The bird is down, and here's the bird down bitmap. So it says draw the bitmap in the drawing context, and the bitmap we're drawing is the rotated bitmap by radians at the correct coordinate. Here is the upcase. Right, so it's the same. Okay, this makes sense. So it's the same. It's the same little bit of code that gets executed every single time. It's just the variables are getting set to a different value. Okay, that makes, or the patterns are getting set to a different value. Show pipes DC. Oh boy. Ah, so it's doing a list. Right, so it's doing a list fold over the pipes. Okay, let me make you go away. Okay, so so if we get a lower pipe, we grab our lower sprite, and then draw that at the correct coordinate. Okay, and then show the rest of the pipes. So we're it's like a for loop basically. Okay, and then if we get an upper pipe, we do the same thing. And then once we get to the end of the list, we return OK. Great. Rotate. Okay, rotate the bitmap by radians. Okay, oh, and then we have to convert it to a new type. We convert the bitmap to images, to an image, rotate the Wix image around 0, 0. I guess that's just the leftmost point, because we're only doing the bird, so that makes sense. And then the new bitmap from the image, okay, and then return the new bitmap, okay. Debugging, okay. I believe that is all of our code. I think that is the entire project. So let's just make sure. Went through the base, the bird, the collision, the controller, the GUI, the pipes, the sprites, the supervisor, the ticks, the application, and everything else. So maybe let's have one last look at the supervisor. No, you know what? I think that's it. That's the whole project. Thank you for watching if you watched all the way through. The next project I do, I am going to record every single thing I do starting from scratch and just upload that. And that way you can see how the thought process evolves rather than seeing a finished product and not seeing how... It's really hard from here to see how like all these different pieces fit together. Like I can show you what the effect of each individual code, you know, like what I would do would be, you know, say, oh, you know, when I hit end, it changes the state in this way, and here's the code that has that effect. Right, I can do that. But it's not easy to see from this perspective how everything sort of fits together and how you start from 0 to get to here. And so the next coding project I'm doing, I am literally going to start from 0 and code everything, and you'll see really how much work there is, and all the mistakes I'm going to make and everything. So, all right, I will see you next project. I'm probably going to do more in WFC, and WFC is kind of my next big monkey I need to get off my back. I have done like 50 takes of that. Anyway, WFC will probably, next few videos will be WFC. Thank you for watching if you watched all the way through. Have a nice day. Founder loves you. Goodbye.